Hello everyone, my name is Olivia and welcome to another episode of Books and Brews, a series on my channel where I talk about some books that I recently read while I drink a cup of coffee. But today I have a cup of chamomile tea because it is pretty late in the day and I really don't want to drink decaf coffee and I don't want to drink regular coffee because I want to sleep tonight. So we're going with chamomile tea, especially because I just had acute bronchitis and my lungs are still a little bit weird. So I'm hoping that this will heal me. But let's get into it so I can tell you about 5 books that I recently read that I would highly recommend to you. So the first one that I want to talk about is The Inheritance of Orquídea Divina by Zoraida Córdova. This novel follows the family of the Montoyas who are recently invited to the funeral of their grandmother who is not yet passed away, but she knows that she's going to pass away very soon. Orquídea Divina is a very magical lady who has lived a very magical life with a bunch of different husbands throughout the years, and she is gathering her family together to say one final goodbye and to leave her family with a lot more questions than answers. 7 years later, her descendants have these magical powers that they inherited from her, and they are trying to live a normal life when they realize that one by one their family is being picked off by a mysterious figure from Orquídea's past. So they try to come together to figure out what is happening, who is chasing them down, and how to stop them. This novel is incredibly magical and immersive and was such a wonderful audiobook. This will transport you into a world where a family is filled with magic and mystery, and the story unfolded beautifully because not only does it delve deeper into Orquídea's past, but we also are learning more about the generational trauma that is passed down through the generations of this family. I also really enjoyed the fact that this deals not only with generational trauma, but the fact that people are trying to connect with their ancestors and learn more about them after they have passed, and they are trying to piece their history together because I can heavily relate to that and the need to connect with people from your past and your family. So I think this is Zoraida's strongest novel that she has written. I think her writing style only grows with strength every time she publishes a story, and I think this one, which is so fantastical, so immersive, and so beautifully written, if you're looking for a lush, atmospheric story that is full of magic, you would greatly enjoy this story. I had a lot of fun with it and I could not stop listening to it on audiobook, so I thought it was a great read and I just really enjoyed myself with this one. The next story that I have to recommend is one that I have spoken about endlessly, and it is The Need by Helen Phillips. I'm sure you are all tired of me mentioning this book in different videos, but I greatly enjoyed it and I'm going to keep on mentioning it because I think this book is very underrated in the way that it is lowly rated, but I also think that more people would enjoy this if they knew what the story was about. So we follow our main character Molly, who is an exhausted mother and scientist, and she has 2 children that she is taking care of because her husband is currently away on a business trip when she hears noises in her house one night, and she comes face to face with an intruder who changes the course of her life forever. So the synopsis of the story is very vague because I think if you were to get any more information about this story, you would have the whole entire plot twist ruined for you, because everything that happens after Molly meets this intruder and comes face to face with them changes the whole course of the story. Because I think people go into the story thinking it's a home invasion story, which would have been really great. I do love those types of stories and I would love to read one if you have any recommendations, but The Need is not just a home invasion story, it's the aftermath of that, and it has a lot of sci-fi elements, and it feels like a Twilight Zone episode come to life because it is rooted in realism, but it also has this sci-fi type of element that completely changes your perspective and kind of takes you off guard and really changes the course of this whole entire story. So it's not just a thriller, it has a heavy sci-fi element that you just kind of have to ride with, and you just have to trust the author to guide you through this story. I think a lot of people went into this story thinking it was one thing and it is something completely different. So if you're a fan of the Twilight Zone or Jordan Peele's movies, because those just have a certain vibe that I think this fits really well, then you would greatly enjoy The Need. Also, I don't know if you can see, but my mug has goats on it. It's amazing. I love goats. Goats are probably one of my favorite animals in the world, and I recently went to a goat farm and hiked with goats. And you would think it's like a lovely experience. It was lovely, but at the end of the hike that we went on with the goats, a goat named Marvin, who was very sassy, got mad at me because I walked past him, and that's like one of his pet peeves. And he, with full force, hit his horns against my knees. And when I tell you my knees have never been the same, I mean they're like permanently damaged because they always ache. And for like a solid 2 weeks, they were just in so much pain. He definitely ruined my knees in some way. I don't want to know how, but I mean, it's a cool story to tell. Like, who else can say, like, a goat ruined my kneecaps? So the next book that I want to talk about has taken BookTok and Bookstagram by storm, and it is The Love Hypothesis. This is a story that I picked up on a whim because I kept on hearing people talk about it on TikTok. They kept on sharing different quotes and aesthetics, and it just felt like the perfect book for me, so I decided to pick it up from my library and absolutely enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It was completely enjoyable. It was just what I needed at the time, and it's actually one of my new favorite reads of 2021. The Love Hypothesis follows our main character, Olive, who is a PhD student, and she is studying at this university when she concocts a fake dating type of scenario with a professor who is very gruff, very aloof. So they decide to fake date for a very convoluted reason, but you just have to like suspend your disbelief and ride with it. And it is one of the cutest romances that I've read in a long time. It's set at a university, it follows the grumpy and sunshine trope, it's fake dating, it is just everything that I needed and more from a story. Adam Carlson, who is the love interest, was just amazing. I love that man to death. He is just the perfect amount of grumpy without being insufferable, and Olive is just a very driven and hopeful student who wants to pursue her scientific dreams, and I just loved their banter. I loved the way that the story was structured. It was somewhat of a slow burn romance while also being a rom-com, and it was just so wonderfully crafted, and I just have to say that the hype is so worth it. It's definitely not the steamiest book in the world. I feel like people on BookTok will say it's like a super steamy book. It's definitely not, so if you're looking for something that's very steamy, this is not the book for you. This is much more wholesome, much more commercial, and just cute. The love was just cute, adorable, pure, amazing. Give it an Oscar. I absolutely enjoyed myself with it, and I went in with 0 expectations, and I really enjoyed it. And I know that Hazelwood is releasing a ton of different novellas in the future, and I saw the list that she shared on her social media, and I am so excited for all of them because I just love her romances. The next book that I listened to on audiobook was 3 o'clock in the morning. I got this from Libro FM because they were doing like a giveaway of sorts where if you signed up to their newsletter, you can get a free audiobook that was translated. So I got 3 o'clock in the morning, which was translated from Italian, and it says it's a coming-of-age novel, a Heidi reunion of Before Sunrise and Beautiful Ruins about a father and his teenage son who are forced to spend 2 sleepless nights exploring the city of Marseille. So we follow our main character, Antonio, who goes to Marseille with his father, who hasn't really been present in his life since he has divorced his mother, and they see this very special doctor who tells Antonio that he has to stay awake for 2 straight days in order to receive a test to find out if his chronic illness is healed or not. Very convoluted, but stick with me here. So Antonio and his father decide to do a pact together and stay awake for 2 nights, and they wander around Marseille, they talk to different people, they go to different parties, they go to cafes. So Antonio and his father connect through these conversations that they have throughout these 2 days while they are in Marseille, and they are just exploring the city and exploring the people who live there. And they have these connections because they have not spoken to each other and really connected as human beings since the divorce between Antonio's parents, and this is just a great opportunity for them to get to know each other now. It says they discuss poetry, family, sex, math, death, and dreams. I said that this story was a quick, great read to listen to on audiobook or to read in general. I thought the translation was beautifully written and just flowed beautifully, and the conversations were engaging and deep, and I think it was a great reflection of a father and a son finally connecting with one another and talking about the deep things in life and their interests and their dreams, and how their dreams are very similar to one another and how they connect over these similarities that they did not know about beforehand. So 3 o'clock in the morning is perfect for people who love familial books, people who want a story between a father and a son, anyone who wants to read translated fiction and just a quick read that is beautifully written and just shows you a different side of a city that you may not read about as often, like Marseille. I did not know a lot about the city beforehand, and I feel like I got to really explore it through this book, and I thought it was beautiful. And the last thing that I recently read is something that I read years ago, but it finally became a graphic novel, and I am so incredibly jazzed about it because I have been begging for this webtoon to become a graphic novel for years upon years, and the day has finally come, and I finally have a copy of Lore Olympus. Lore Olympus is one of the most famous webtoons on Webtoon. It is a retelling of Hades and Persephone, and Hades is blue and Persephone is pink, and it's just a very colorful graphic novel that is just so beautifully written and beautifully drawn, and I just absolutely love this webtoon with all my heart. I think I started reading it when it was about 20 episodes in, and it's currently on episode, I think, 180. This edition is only from episode 1 to 25, so you have a decent chunk of episodes in this physical copy, but there's so many more episodes on Webtoon, and this is one of my favorite Hades and Persephone retellings. I'm very picky when it comes to Hades and Persephone retellings because I have a very specific image that I have in mind of Hades' personality and Persephone's personality, and a lot of authors don't really live up to the expectations that I have of Hades and Persephone. But I think that Rachel, the author and the illustrator of this story, just captures the essence of Hades and Persephone so well, and their dynamic, and it's just such a healthy and beautiful dynamic in this retelling. And we also follow a ton of different gods as well. We follow Zeus, we follow Hera, we follow Artemis. All the major gods have a very big play in this story. This was given to me by Random House, and I am just so grateful for them for gifting this to me for review. It was absolutely fantastic. The only thing that I have to say in terms of the physical copy is that Hades sometimes blends into the background of the story because sometimes the background is a dark blue and he is a blue character, so I feel like the story needs to be lightened up a bit in terms of the printing of it, and I think that that can definitely be improved in future volumes. But if you want to support Lore Olympus, they now have a physical copy of the first 25 episodes, and if you want to read more of Lore Olympus, go to Webtoon to read more of it because you can read it for free. It is fantastic. A new episode comes out every single week, and I have been a big fan for years upon years, and I'm just so happy and proud of Rachel for creating a best-selling graphic novel. This is amazing, and I'm keen to see on where she's going to end it and how she's going to end it, because I'm not sure if she's aiming to end it on episode 200. I don't know if she's going to go to episode 300. I really don't know what's going to happen, but this is one of my favorite webtoons, and it's also my first webtoon. If you have any webtoon recommendations, I would love to hear them down below because I want to dive deeper into webtoons, and I read a couple, but a lot of them aren't finished, and that's why I don't start new webtoons, because I don't want to commit to waiting for a new episode every single week. But one that I have read is Sub-Zero. That one I have like 50 episodes to catch up on because I completely forgot about it. But the best way I can describe it is like Zuko and Katara if there were dragons. It is just absolutely amazing. I have to catch up on it. And another webtoon that I recently marathoned the entire first season of is Everything is Fine, which is also becoming a physical graphic novel as well, and I'm so excited about it. It's about a suburban town where everything is fine. And my best friend Sarah told me to read it, and I read it in like 2 hours. It was amazing. It was such a great read. So let me know about some webtoon recommendations down below, and if you have any recent 5-star reads that you would love to recommend to me, I would love to hear them down below in the comments. If you have made it this far in the video, put a pink heart emoji so we can see who stays the longest in all my videos, inspired by my love for Persephone and Lore Olympus. And thank you so much for watching my videos. If you want to connect with me anywhere else on social media, all my links will be down below. I'm very active on Instagram and TikTok. I'm having a great time over there. And I also have a Patreon where you can get exclusive content from me, like some weekly roundups, which I feature over on my Instagram stories. I go in a lot more depth over on my Patreon, and I also have some behind the scenes content there, as well as early access to most of my videos. So thank you so much to all my patrons who are already a part of my Patreon. I appreciate your support so much, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!